Hello, it's Robert Miner with Dynamic Traders Group for their DT trade strategies for the week beginning July 19th. A 5-10 minute video, brief video that we do for our Twitter and YouTube followers to get you a little idea of what we do every day for our subscribers to our DT reports. If you like what you learn, and by the way, this is primarily a learning video, so we do look at markets with data right up to date, but my purpose is to teach you trade strategies that you can use in any market and time frame, whether we looked at them or not. But if you want to learn more, check out my book, High Probability Trading Strategies. So let's first take a look at crude oil. This is crude weekly data. It's the September contract. As of not this past week, but the week before that, crude was in a position to have completed a five-wave advance from that April 2020 low. So if that's the case, that would be very significant. And what happened last week is we had a down week and it closed below the closes of the past 2 or 3 weeks, and it made a dual time frame, actually a triple time frame, weekly momentum bear reversal. Now, none of that confirms that a weekly high is complete, but it puts it in a position to be a weekly high. This reversal is also made on an inside week. So whenever there's a technical signal made on an inside bar, inside week, inside day, is I always wait for and expect immediate confirmation the next trading period if it's a legitimate reversal. So otherwise, on our weekly bars, we're certainly in a position to have completed a wave 5, pretty significant high, but that's only going to be confirmed if the end of next week closes below this week's inside bar weekly close of 71.56. So that's a week to wait to get confirmed whether we've made what should be, not just a multi-week, potential for a multi-month top, which would have a retracement right around into this zone, this March high to March low zone, which is around 67 down to 57, something in that range. That would be the minimum expectation, and so that's a pretty significant decline, 20% or more. So you want to be aware of that. Here's the daily data. What's the setup? Well, once we identify the probable position in the higher time frame, we look at the lower time frame to give us an actual trade setup. So in this case, we've had a decline, we've had a correction, potential 1 or A, 2 or B. This is certainly, as of Friday, was not in a position for a typical end of wave C. Didn't even closed on Thursday below the closing low, but then it just snapped right back. So that's still in limbo. So here's the trade setup, brain dead. You don't have to think anymore. As if the next cycle and bear reversal in our DT oscillator or whatever momentum indicator that you use, if that bear reversal is made and price is not closed above the closing high of when the last bear reversal was made on the daily. In other words, if we make a daily momentum bear reversal and price is not closed above 74.69, that would put it in a position, a dual time frame daily weekly position, to complete the weekly high. And then, of course, if it continued to decline, made that lower close on Friday, that would confirm it. And that's pretty significant because it's not just a 3 or 4 day high. More than likely, if those conditions manifest themselves, that would be a multi-week high. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. And by the way, if you're interested in the stock indexes or gold, silver, GDX, just take a look at last week's video. Is that the reversals anticipated haven't been confirmed yet, but there's really nothing that's changed with the outlook and the trades, potential trade setups at least, for the stock indexes and gold, as what we described in last week. This is weekly data for Bitcoin. And 2 things to point out. Number 1 is the weekly momentum's made a dual look-back bull reversal about 3 weeks ago, right around here. So they made a momentum bull reversal. It's a dual look-back bull reversal from the oversold zone. That's pretty reliable, usually pretty reliable to indicate a weekly low is complete. However, look what happened here. Use some common sense. Bullish momentum, our bull reversal, weekly momentum's oversold zone, yet 3 weeks later, price is actually lower than it was when it made the momentum reversal. Not too much lower, more or less flat, but the whole point is if you have a bull reversal that has a reasonably reliable history on your momentum for being within a bar or so of making a price reversal, and yet you make that reversal and actually 2 or 3 bars later the price is lower, and while the momentum is still bullish, look at that, it's really barely moving upward. This is like a market that doesn't have the buying power in it, and if we look at the price, the pattern position, this is what we're looking at. We're still looking at it until it's voided, and that's a 1, 2, 3, probably a 4. That means we'd probably have a wave 5 here coming up before too long, and down to about, let's just call it 27,000 down to 23,000. And that's a fairly significant decline, potentially still ahead of us. Let's take a look at the daily data, though, and see what we want to be aware of. This is our Bitcoin daily data, and two things. Our subscribers, at least, were prepared for a probable daily low on Thursday or Friday the 15th or 16th. We had a couple of key time factors at that point, and as we approached that time, the daily momentums reached oversold. So again, we've got time and we've got daily momentums for probably, if we haven't completed a daily low, the daily low is a low that then is followed by a reversal lasting around 3 to 5 days. If we haven't made it, we'll probably make it Monday, I suspect. But we're very close to it. So the question is, how significant of an advance should we anticipate? Well, based on when we put everything together, I won't go into all the details, but basically the pattern position strongly suggests that Bitcoin is not in a position to make a major low. What would void that? Well, let me just put our closing in here. I should have had that in here. I cleaned the chart up earlier. Let's go over to here. A close above 35,284 would void that probability of making a new low and indicate not just a weekly low, but maybe even a multi-month low was in place. Keep in mind, it's not necessarily going to be followed by a bull trend, to new highs. In fact, it's probably not going to be for many reasons, but point is, weekly low is a good low you want to trade. So here's what I'm looking at over the next, and this is probably over the next week to 2 weeks. There's two things we want to be aware of. Number one, this was definitely a correction from the May to June. Definitely a correction from the June low into either the June 29th high, and we can also look at it into the July high, is a correction. A, B, C, potentially, or A, B, C, D, E. So if we look at this decline, is that Bitcoin never even closed below the closing low back here. And well, it did close slightly below it just one time, below the June 25th closing low. Did not trade below either of these lows. It makes this suspect as a wave 5. This is just one possibility, a 1 or a 2, and I could even look at this as a higher time frame, A, B, C, D, E, or something funky like that. Point is, it's a complex correction. So let's ignore this as a 1, 2, because I realize that would mean it's really bearish, and that is a possibility pattern-wise. But let's just look at it coming down from the June or July 4th low, is that just closed below the closing low by 1 day. That was on Friday's little inside day, again, right in a time period and momentum period to make at least a daily low. So I'm looking over the next couple of weeks is if we make the next rotation in the daily momentum, the next cycle and bear reversal, and we have not closed above 35,284, then that would be a really significant setup to continue the bear trend to a new low. So for right now, we've probably completed, or will early next week, a low that's going to last several days. And it probably for you short-term traders, a good low for trading short, but I wouldn't get too over-enthused about it until or unless Bitcoin were to close above 35,284. Then I would be probably voiding all my bearish outlooks. So that's it for Bitcoin over the next few days. We've really been nailing the major trends through, in fact, this low in June, and then this is a corrective high. But now it didn't follow through really impulsively to a new low. So we're kind of on the cusp. Could be either way it could go, and we're going to know within the next week or so. So when we get to that point, we'll let you know, because then it should be followed, whether it's going to continue up or down, a pretty significant move. So we'll be on top of this every day for Bitcoin, and we also keep on top in our reports Ethereum. That's it for today. Couple markets you might want to be alert to in this coming week, and we'll be back with you next week with another brief video. Take care.